Hello and welcome to Cooking Through the Catalog. I'm Devera with the Gwinnett County Public Library. Every month of this series, I'll pick a category of cookbooks in the Gwinnett County Public Library catalog. We'll learn about the basics of that type of cookbook, talk about a few cookbooks in the catalog and what I found in them, and then make some of the recipes in these cookbooks. So for the month of April, I decided to look through the cookbooks that were budget friendly. Why? Well, in April, most of us have tax returns to file, and for so many folks, they owe taxes on their return. So why not find a way to pinch some pennies with budget-friendly meals? Typically, with budget-friendly meals, it starts with a pantry filled with the basics. What are some of the items considered necessary for a well-stocked pantry? The categories of items include dried goods, oils, vinegars, and sauces, canned goods, and herbs and spices. For refrigerated and freezer items, include dairy products or dairy substitutes, meats or meat substitutes, and frozen fruits and veggies. I've included a link at the end of the program for a detailed list of these items. I had a very difficult time trying to narrow down the cookbooks this month. We have an extraordinary number of great cookbooks in this catalog that discuss various methods of both time-saving and money-saving recipes. They discuss everything from buying bulk to meal planning and freezing dishes to quick and cheap meals. I have included a link at the end of the program for quickly finding these cookbooks. So let's get into the cookbooks in the catalog and the recipes I decided to cook this month. The first cookbook is Poor Girl Gourmet by Amy McCoy. She also has a blog, which I'll include the link later in the program. Out of this cookbook, I decided to be adventurous and try something I've never made before, butter. But there are two fantastic benefits to making your own butter. One, you know everything that is going into the butter, and you get to choose where those ingredients come from. Two, when making butter, it also produces buttermilk. So I could make homemade buttermilk biscuits and put the homemade butter on the biscuits. Yummy! To make the homemade butter, you only need 2 ingredients: 32 ounces of heavy cream and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Take the heavy cream out of the refrigerator and allow the cream to come to 55 degrees. Pour the cream into the bowl of your stand mixer or into a large mixing bowl if you're using a hand mixer. Using the wire whisk attachment and starting off at a low speed, you'll increase the speed to medium-high and beat the cream until the fats congeal and become butter, about 10 to 15 minutes. Make sure to drape a kitchen towel over the mixing bowl to stave off the splatter of cream that will later be followed by the splatter of buttermilk. Once the butter has formed, strain off the buttermilk to another container for future use. Make sure to use it in 5 to 7 days. You can do this by transferring the butter and buttermilk to a fine mesh strainer placed over a large bowl or a cheesecloth lined colander. Press down on the fat solids to push the buttermilk into the bowl. Rinse the butter with cold water from the tap to remove any residual buttermilk. If you don't do this, the buttermilk could spoil the butter. After rinsing the butter, return it to the mixing bowl and mix on medium-low speed to remove any additional liquid contained in the butter. Repeat the rinsing and mixing process 3 to 4 times until no more buttermilk can be extracted from the butter. Add the teaspoon of salt into the butter and, if you desire, add herbs, garlic, onions, or any other seasoning that suits your fancy. Place in an airtight container and use at will within the next 2 weeks. If you don't think you'll use it within 2 weeks, freeze it. Moving on to the next cookbook in the catalog is Good and Cheap by Leanne Brown. In addition to having photos with all the recipes, there is also a section that has tips for eating and shopping well, supermarket strategies, leftover strategies, and seasonal charts for fruits and veggies. There is also a section for kitchen equipment that Leanne deems necessary for any kitchen. Out of the Good and Cheap cookbook, I decided to make Filipino chicken adobo. If you're not a fan of chicken or you're vegetarian, you can easily substitute other meats or vegetables you like. In order to make the Filipino chicken adobo, you'll need the following ingredients: 8 chicken thighs. I'm using skinless and boneless. 3/4 of a cup of rice vinegar or distilled white vinegar. 1/4 cup of soy sauce. 2 cloves of garlic minced. A half teaspoon of black pepper. 2 bay leaves. 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. 2 medium-sized potatoes chopped. 4 medium-sized carrots sliced. 2 cups of white rice or rice of your choice. 2 pinches of salt, and 2 teaspoons of cornstarch mixed with 1 tablespoon of water. If using chicken with the skin, cut off the fat. Stir together the vinegar, soy sauce, garlic, pepper, and bay leaves in a large non-aluminum pan. Add the chicken, coating each piece. Cover and marinate for at least 30 minutes, but overnight in the refrigerator is better. Remove the chicken from the marinade and pat dry with paper towels. Don't throw out the marinade. You'll use it later. Pour the oil into a large pot over medium heat. Once it's hot, add enough chicken to cover the bottom of the pot, but don't crowd it. Cook until one side of the chicken is brown, then flip it over and repeat. When the first batch of chicken is done, remove it from the pot and repeat with the remaining chicken. After all the chicken is browned, put it back in the pot along with the marinade, potatoes, carrots, and 3/4 cup of the water. Turn the heat up, bring the liquid to a boil, then decrease the heat to low. Simmer until the meat is cooked through and the carrots and potatoes are soft, about 45 minutes. Check the chicken. If the meat is pink on the inside, it's not finished. Cook until the meat is no longer pink. When the dish is almost ready, pour the rice into a medium-sized pot with 4 cups of water and the salt. Bring to a boil over medium heat. Turn the heat down and cover with a lid placed slightly askew. Cook until the water is gone, about 20 minutes. Remove the bay leaves from the adobo and stir in the cornstarch and water mixture. Let it thicken until the chicken and vegetables are well glazed. Serve over the rice and top with whatever you like: green onions, jalapenos, and more. Before we get to the last cookbook and recipe, I wanted to mention one book that truly stood out to me. Not for the recipes, but for the information. The book is the Waste-Free Kitchen Handbook by Dana Gunders. What makes this book invaluable is that it not only has recipes, but it gives you information about how long items last in your fridge and freezer, composting, and information about expiration dates and more. The last cookbook for today is Better Homes and Gardens Budget-Friendly Meals. Pretty much anything published from Better Homes and Gardens is worth your time and money. They test their recipes and they are reliable. I love their Christmas cookbooks too. So from this cookbook, we'll make a vegetable cheese chowder. For the vegetable cheese chowder, you'll need the following ingredients: 1 16-ounce package of frozen broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots, a half cup of water, 2 cups of milk, a 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 14-ounce can of chicken broth, and 1 cup of shredded smoked or regular Gouda cheese, which works out to be about 4 ounces if you're weighing. In a large saucepan, combine the frozen vegetables and water. Bring to boiling, reduce the heat. Cover and simmer for about 4 minutes until vegetables are just tender. Do not drain. Meanwhile, in a screw-top jar, combine 2/3 cup of the milk and the flour, cover, and shake well. Add the flour mixture to the vegetable mixture. Then add remaining 1½ cups of milk and the broth. Cook and stir over medium heat until thickened and bubbly. Cook and stir for 1 more minute. Add the cheese. Cook and stir over low heat until the cheese nearly melts. If wanted, add salt and pepper to taste or any other seasonings you like. Serve while hot. In looking through the library catalog, I found a vast number of cookbooks featuring budget-friendly meals. These are some of my favorites that I found. They range from simple, quick and easy, to more advanced knowledge of cooking and specialty ingredients. Here are some resources for today's program. To help you find cookbooks in the catalog that have budget-friendly recipes, there is a quick and easy link. I've also included a link for Amy McCoy's blog. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next month when we look for baking recipes in Cooking Through the Catalog.